Hello everybody, Adrian Plass here yet again.
Yes, and Bridget yet again.
And it's our 18th week of Sounding the Shadows. And that I can't work out how many days it is. I'm not going to try.
No,
anyway,
but as someone said to us this week, writing to us, I wish we could get out of this boat.
Yes.
And I think that's the way most of us feel,
right.
really, isn't it?
This boat. Get out of that boat.
I know there are people listening to this who will be out of the boat, Adrian. I know there are areas in the world where actually they're pretty well back to normal, but I have to tell you, people from other parts of the world, it doesn't apply to the UK at all, really.
No.
But we have been really helped by lots of things, haven't we, that people have sent to us. And some of them have moved us very much. There's somebody we know who's a vicar, and she was saying that she really doesn't like the new normal. She said she spends her time trying to absorb the worry of others and keep her own at bay. And she said, you know, that some ministers are getting very excited about new opportunities, but some of us, well, what she said was, are too exhausted trying to hold others up.
Yes.
I thought, you know, that's true. She said it breaks your heart every time she's with somebody who's suffering. And she says there are people who are keen to show you fabulous techie stuff, but she's actually mainly on the phone praying with people. I could just feel how much of her heart she's giving away. But she also said that, and I haven't met any of these, that there are a few who are so sure they have theological ultimate truth.
Yes.
I'm afraid that they see track and trace as the beast. Well,
Sorry.
I know.
Sorry.
She says she has to behave as utter certainty brings out the worst in her.
Yes,
and she reverts to cynical, bolshy teenage mode. And I think you're in there with her, aren't you, Adrian?
I think I am. The beast comes in many different forms.
I know.
I would very hesitate to say what some of the ones that I have identified
Rather
are.
a feeble comeback with this track and trace, but still.
I know. On the other hand, one lighter story, because I was talking about things that happen in churches, excuse me, where nobody knows the reason for them. And
yes, you were saying about in the future people will be wearing masks.
As people were wearing masks and saying, why do we wear masks?
Yes, exactly.
And say, well, I don't know how it began. I think God told us we should at some point. Anyway, this story was maybe apocryphal, this lady says, about a clergyman who went to another church and he saw the celebrant make a movement to one side every so often and thought it must have some really important significance that he'd failed to pick up in the past. So he decided to do it in his own church. And later he learned that this very swift movement to one side had been to avoid drops of water that were leaking through the roof.
Actually, Adrian, this is literally just this moment reminded me of something. Do you remember the danger that you put that church in Sweden into by talking about monkeys? I mean, that you did avert the danger, but you might not have done.
I do. Well, it shows that I shouldn't be stupid, really, because I'd never been to Sweden before, and obviously speaking through a translator. Gosh, I'd forgotten that story.
I know.
And when I started, I said in one of those sepulchral evangelical voices, there's a girl over there. And there was. I'd seen her as I came in. There's a girl over there with a monkey on her shoulder. There was a silence, and it was translated. And then I said, I think the Lord wants you all to have monkeys. And there was another silence, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to come back in 3 months and they'll all have monkeys on their shoulders. And then, thank goodness, one sane person laughed and they realized that they didn't have to all have monkeys. But Christians are very vulnerable. They're like baby birds with their beaks open, waiting for truths.
Well, we all are,
dropped
aren't we?
in.
We all kind of think
We want it.
maybe
don't
we want it so much, really.
Yeah.
We had some lovely responses. We were talking about our survival kit, weren't we, and what might be in it in order for us to survive this pretty tedious and difficult time. And we've had some really interesting responses.
Yeah, there was somebody who's listed her Christian Everyday Survival Kit.
I think she wrote this, yeah.
A few examples was a toothpick to remind us to pick out the good qualities in other people. I think that might be useful. Rubber band to remind us to be flexible. Rubber to remind us everyone makes mistakes, including us. And blue tack to remind us to stick with it. And lots of others. It's a really good list.
Yeah, isn't there a tea bag in there?
Yeah, tea bag to remind us to relax daily and go over a list of God's blessings.
Well, somebody else said a bit of telly is pretty good and gentle sitcoms. And I actually mentioned, and I haven't come across this lady, but somebody called Jenny Robery and her poems, and the fact that she wrote poems in March just before lockdown.
Yeah.
So that would be good to look out. And I don't know, there's a lovely one here from somebody who said, I know that Jesus gave me a survival kit, which consists of him, of course, and how he sends just the right person. That all sounds very, very spiritual and lovely. Or I get a phone call, a bunch of flowers, and a cake.
Or a cake.
Yeah, or a cake.
And a cake. That'd be very good if you got a bunch of flowers, a phone call, and a cake.
And Jesus.
And Jesus.
Yeah. And she then says she's learnt she's enough, and she now knows more than ever that he loves her.
Would she let Jesus in without a cake?
I don't know. Maybe we'll ask her. And I do know that some people are not feeling that Jesus is just outside the door with a cake or without a cake.
That is
true.
Or
thinking that she's special or he's special.
Yeah.
There's something about now, isn't there, that's a bit tricky.
Well, it has been hard, isn't it? And we say this every week, actually. We say it's been hard, but
yes.
this week has been a bit of a kick in the solar plexus, hasn't it? To go back to the place where we were before, almost.
Yeah. There have been two major diversions this week. One of them really from the ridiculous to the ridiculous, I suppose. Yeah. One of them was the debate, the great American debate.
Oh, yes,
which was extremely nasty and very
unpleasant
outrageous.
Little argument, wasn't it? Yeah.
But the other one, and again, I'm sorry if you don't have this in your country, but it's Bake Off.
Oh, no, we're talking about important things, yes.
And the outrage there.
Yes,
I mean, the outrage is often to do with things like the flabbiness of the centre of some gingerbread.
Yeah. Then the wrong person won.
Wow, well, there you go.
That's what a lot of people
Bake
thought. Yeah.
But it was Biscuit Week. Biscuit Week is always interesting because they have to make towers with biscuit.
Yes, I can't quite see why people who are bakers should be able to produce strange models of things, but that's what they were called. They did some amazing things, actually.
It's interesting about biscuits because somebody did actually suggest an idea for us for this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've been in a boat for a very long time and you've run out of food, you may well be left only with ship's biscuits.
There you go. And, did you see the link there?
Yeah, it's very good, very good. So I Googled Ship's biscuits, and of course it mentioned hard tack, and I remembered.
Oh, is that what it is?
Hard tack. I don't. Yeah, it's made of flour and water and salt, and it pretty well lasts forever, but it is, well, disgusting really, and you can only eat it if you've soaked it. That they said for a few minutes in some sort of liquid. So I don't think it would be a very attractive proposition.
No, and they probably only have salt water to dip it in. Yeah,
that's right.
It sounds horrible, actually.
Do you remember, some people might remember we told the story of when we only got home by using signing a form and buying Mars bars to get bus tickets. Yes. I wonder how people would have managed with that diet if on a ship you had Mars bars. I think, like us, 1 would be okay, 2 would be very sort of all right, and 3 you'd say, I never want to see Mars bar again.
So you'd probably be unbelievably grateful at the beginning and feeling very sick. And that must have been how the Israelites felt about the manna, I should think.
Oh,
I mean, they must have been very pleased to see it day 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5.
Yeah. They were very unpleasant about it, weren't they? In fact, I think one was quoted as saying, "I like God, but I don't really like his manner."
They did not.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No,
Well, they might have done.
Yeah. No, but more seriously, what are we going to feed on in this very difficult time? And I was thinking about us, and one thing is hope, right?
So you're talking about when you've run out of...
When you've run out of everything,
okay.
and you look around and you think, what do I feed on? And I was thinking of us. There's a place about half an hour from us called Seaham.
Oh, yes.
And if you go to Seaham, you can go down onto the beach. And years and years ago, there was a glass factory on shore.
I mean, there still is up the road at Sunderland.
That's
but
right.
now,
There still is. Yeah.
But this was at a time when they felt they could chuck all their
just
glass
throw
they
it
didn't
away
need into the sea.
So if you sit on the beach at Seaham and you scratch around in the pebbles, you will find pieces of glass. What I found exciting last time we went there was I had my phone with me and I turned the torch on, the torch bit, so that I could put what looked as if it might be a piece of glass onto the light, and if the light shone through it, you knew it was almost certainly glass. And I found that absolutely captivating. And we'll probably go again, but we've got those pieces in the house somewhere, haven't we?
Oh, tiny bits, and every now and then you find a blue bit.
I know.
Or a green bit.
I know.
Or an amber bit. And they are just old tiny bits of glass.
That's right.
But
it's
very
an
exciting.
exercise in hope. It really is.
Yeah, and I suppose distractions always. I don't know whether we're going to be distracted by this weekend or just overwhelmed. We have a very small puppy arriving on Saturday, don't we?
Well, we're going to get the very small puppy.
Well, that's what I meant.
He's not coming by train with a little bag.
No, she's not. She's not coming like Paddington.
Yeah, she's called Gracie.
Yes,
and she's going to be here from Saturday.
She is.
And she's going to be in our family.
Yeah, she is.
So as a distraction, that's not bad, is it? And we've always laughed at things.
Yeah, that's got us through some sticky things, really. And they're the things you have to kind of dip your hard, miserable time, if you like, going back to the ship's biscuit, haven't you?
You do.
You've got to find something you can dip it into. And there must be something. There was always something. When we went to see him, we weren't expecting much.
No, we couldn't see anything at first, could we? We thought, where's all this glass then?
Yeah.
But we did find it.
Yeah, so even when it looks as though there's nothing, there's going to be a something. Yeah.
And some things have made us laugh, although they've annoyed us intensely. And I remember one evening...
Of many things that you're thinking of.
That evening when we thought we'd been invited to dinner somewhere.
Yeah.
And we went and we took a bottle of wine. We took a bottle of wine that we really liked.
Oh, because we thought we were going to dinner. Yes, of course.
We thought we were going to dinner.
Yes.
And it transpired that actually...
we weren't.
They wanted something from us. Yeah. And they did not want to give us dinner.
No.
And we didn't know this. And we were sitting there for quite a long time waiting to eat. And
have a glass of our wine.
And we never saw the wine again. And then we went home. But, I mean, we did laugh, but we did find it annoying. We really did. And I remember two of my friends, I was thinking of this today, they went to dinner somewhere. This has made me laugh ever since I heard about it. They go to dinner, right, and they sit down and everyone's nice and it's good and friendly. And then the food arrives. There are 4 of them, okay?
Right.
So the meal consists of 4 very small potatoes.
There were 4 of them, yes.
Yes. 4 very small pieces of chicken, and I think there might have been an equal number of peas in each place. I can't remember what else there was. But the problem for them was, I remember them saying, we had to cut the potatoes very slowly and in tiny, tiny pieces so that we could look as though we were really having a great time eating our meal. And when the meal ended and it was time to go home, they said, oh, thank you so much. We really enjoyed our dinner, and raced in their car to the nearest fish and chip shop and filled themselves with fish and chips.
Yes, because a lot of meals in restaurants have that are on the small side, aren't they? And you look at, there's a long list of what's going to be on the menu, and
That's
when you
right,
get it,
yeah.
you hunt for your slice of beetroot, which is hidden underneath your small piece of potato, which is obscuring the tiniest piece of meat you ever saw.
And we used to try to pretend that we liked something of tiny piece of nothing at all, didn't we? But we don't really anymore. Ah,
What are
boy.
we talking about here? We seem to be going a bit slightly off the thing. What are we talking about here?
Well, we were talking about food, weren't
Yes, we
we
were.
were talking about how you survive.
Yes.
How you survive. And there are more serious things than my friends and their tiny, tiny meal. Some weeks ago, we talked about that bit in John 4, where Jesus says that his food is to do the will of his Father.
Yeah.
And in these present circumstances, I think a number of people are saying, well, what does that mean then? In this situation, what on earth does it mean? I mean, what does it taste like to do what you're told? What is it a good taste? Can you feel it filling you? And what form does it take?
And is that not a problem? Because we're used to being filled with nice things. You know, we're used to it being tasty. And now it is a bit of a ship's biscuit, isn't it? And we've got to get on with it and trust that it's the right food for us for the moment, really.
No, I
and
think
obedience
that's absolutely right. Yeah.
tricky, really.
And I reckon, and a few people I know are saying this, that in the present climate, which is confused and uncertain, and for a lot of Christians who are not persuaded by the faith, not fear call, that something new has to happen. And why not? Why shouldn't there be the possibility of a fresh approach, a new diet within what we believe and within our faith?
What would that mean for you?
Well, I can tell you what I've been thinking, but I don't know what other people will do. I've been thinking that there's a kind of exercise of imagination that you could use, right? So you imagine this: you get a great big sieve, right? And in the sieve, in your imagination, you put the entire Bible, the bits you like, the bits you don't like, the bits you believe in, the bits you don't believe, all of it in there. And then you put all the Christians you've ever known, the ones you thought were great, the ones you didn't, the ones that helped you, the ones that didn't, every experience with other people, just shove them into the sieve, okay? And then the churches and the things that have happened in your life and all those other things, good and bad, and somewhere in the middle, put them in the sieve. And then the next bit, which is really good, is you grab two handles very hard, and you shake that sieve really hard. Shake it, shake it, shake it. And all the ugly, horrible, unhelpful things stay in the sieve. And the stuff that comes through, right, you've got to concentrate now, you put it in a blender.
Okay.
And you make a puree.
Okay.
And then you pour that puree into a wine glass. And you
dip
sip it.
Your ship's biscuit.
No, you sip it.
Well, I like the idea of
well,
dipping my ship's biscuit.
All right, you can dip your ship's biscuit in it.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the flavour, this dilution of everything we've been through, will reveal to us what we actually have.
Yeah.
And that will be different for everybody. For me, I was very relieved that it wasn't bland. It wasn't bland at all. And there was a flavour of kindness in particular. I don't mean in me, I mean in the things I've known and learned that meant something. And a sort of mixture of firmness and smiling flexibility. And most of all, I was immensely relieved to find that the other flavour that was in there, I can only sum up by saying it was Jesus. And what is special about this, I think, is that what you end up with is what you've actually got, not what you should have or what you'd wish you got, but what you've got. And if you start from there, I don't know. That might take you to all sorts of other places.
Wow. I like the idea of that, a sort of spiritual compote. All the very best things. I love the idea of thinking about flavour as well. That's a good thing to think about this week. I was thinking about the best of biscuits have spices and ginger and things that make them special. And the things that give us a little bit of spice in our lives, a little bit of flavour. Yeah. So we don't despair. We don't look at our ship's biscuit and think, well, this is horrible and why should we be eating such miserable food? But what can we find to give us flavour? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what other people find when they do that.
Yes.
Do let us know if you have a go yourself. It's quite an exercise, I can tell you. So perhaps you let us know. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.